Hi Virgo, welcome to a tarot reading for 2020. This is from tarot.com. It's called the Year Ahead Tarot Spread, and so a shout out to them for providing this idea for a spread. I'm going to lay out the cards and then going to go through each position. Four, five, six, and then this is okay. There we go. All right. So the first position is called Sunset, Lessons from Your Previous Year. We have the Tower card. So, this can tell you if this reading really resonates with you because, it has a couple of cards that are from the past, reflecting on the past year. So you can see right away if it really makes sense to you. The Tower card is a card of something, maybe multiple things happening that you didn't expect, that were, kind of, having the rug pulled out from under you, or that kind of a feeling where something, I don't want to say like a catastrophe, but something that happened that you didn't plan for. What I like to say with the Tower card is that a lot of times I feel that it's something that was not really addressed and it just built up over time. So I don't see a lot of things in life as truly being accidents, or just random calamities. I think that they kind of, to me, the Tower is almost like a powder keg that finally goes. It's like something has to give. So the reason that I like to frame it in that way is because it feels less out of my control, where I can kind of understand cause and effect, and I don't just think that life is against me, because that's never a very pleasant feeling. Now, as far as a lesson, it can be that you can't count on anything, but it's funny because that sounds terrible, but it's really not, because then you relinquish the need for control, and that really it can be very freeing if you're not really worried about what's going to happen. Then when it happens, it's like that song, when you ain't got nothing, you got nothing to lose. Bob Dylan. It's only when people cling to things or cling to situations that they feel that sense of loss the most acutely. So I don't know. I wonder how many of you have experienced this. If you had been like a Capricorn, it was funny. I was planning on doing this for Capricorn, but I had thought of you first. I could see that for Capricorn because they're going through eclipses, but who knows? Maybe you have Capricorn rising and this is affecting, even the eclipses, they affect your different houses. It's going to affect in some way or the other, or at least be transiting through a particular house. Okay, so that's the first card. The second one is Horizon, what you can expect in the next year. This is a card, the Knight of Swords. If we go from the first card and we say, if, let's say, you had an unpleasant shock that your partner was having an affair, then you might go to the lawyer. This can be the lawyer. But just in and of itself, this is a card that we would associate with writers, educators, so there may be something in that area that you're concentrating on in 2020, Virgo. That certainly makes sense, since you're ruled by Mercury, that you may be involved in some intellectual pursuits. The Knight of Swords could be a love interest that is, it could be like air and fire, but the air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So maybe someone of that sign that you get involved with. You may like just on a personal level, become more outspoken for some reason. And again, with the Tower, it might be like might have been an implosion. Perhaps somebody had a heart attack in the past year, a Virgo person. But part of it was energetic, because they were like holding in all these, things that were bothering them. And now you realize it's not healthy, and you're going to kind of be more open. I mean, there's so many, or resentments. And the other thing too, I think with the Tower is, if in, romantic situations, if you met somebody and you like instantly knew that you were meant to be with them, it could be that kind of love at first sight type of a thing. So the next card is Obstacle, a challenge that you'll face this year. And we have the Five of Cups. This is a card of grieving the loss of something. Again, this may be continuing from 2019, where you have to accept something that is gone. Sometimes, like with the Tower, there's a shock. And, for instance, if you did lose somebody in 2019 that you totally did not think was going to go, maybe they were young, or you thought they were healthy, and it still happened. Especially if it's been recently, you may not have had time to really grieve that loss, and that'll be part of the process. But this can go back many years. I mean, you may be grieving your childhood. You may be grieving the loss of an illusion that you had about the past. Grieving a marriage that you thought was going to last forever that didn't. Someone could say, oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. Oh, wow, 2020 is going to be great. Well, this is always true for us, no matter what. I mean, 2020, 2021, we're going to, have different experiences. Some of them are going to be unwanted. Some of them are going to be absolutely awesome. And it's all about how we walk through the fire. I actually, that's funny, because I think that was a title of one of Charles Bukowski's poetry books. All that matters is how you walk through the fire, something like that. Okay. And the fourth card this is your strength. So this is the area, it says how to harness your inner power. Well, there's no better way to harness your inner power than through cold hard cash. I'm kind of like semi-joking. The Ten of Pentacles can be, affluence, family money. In terms of how it would like translate to inner power, I would say, the family unit, the continuity, generational, that feeling of the generations, and the things that last in our lives that we take great pride in. But even in terms of like financial abundance, that this card suggests, one thing about that is anything that you're going through, we all know that it makes it that much worse when you don't have that feeling that you can walk and that you also have the freedom, like that you can actually support yourself, But if you feel like kind of tied to somebody, you're in a marriage and somebody's cheating, but you don't feel like you could support yourself, that's when it's really like you feel powerless. But this kind of, if this is on the financial level, it empowers you, emotionally, because you feel that sense of freedom, financial freedom, to be able to do whatever it is that you need to do, regardless of the circumstances in your outer world with your relationships. So to me, that suggests that you're going to be having a good year financially. The fifth card is advice, and this is again another card reflecting on 2019. So please see if this resonates for you. It's always interesting because you would already know if it occurred. Lessons you learned last year, but also looking at it from the position of moving forward. So it's this card. Five of Wands. This can be a card of, that's one thing too, is that this may be an issue with somebody's death, an inheritance issue that happened in 2019. And so, because this is like the generational wealth. And of course, with the Tower card, this may have come by, as a shock to you. You have to grieve the loss. But this card, in terms of advice based on, what you have dealt with, the Five of Wands can suggest that you have to assert yourself. Sometimes Virgos kind of hang back, you don't really want to. It's not that Virgos can't, cut people down to size. You can do it, but you do that with your tongue. You're not necessarily the most volatile sign emotionally. None of the earth signs are like that in and of themselves. You have to look at somebody's moon sign to really get a good feel, and look at the aspects, the moon to Mars, for instance, to see like how, if they're kind of like hotheads and things like that. Because if you're a Virgo and you have a moon in Aries, then you might be a different sort of animal. But when I see this card, it's like to me about like getting in the fray. Like, don't allow other people to overpower you. This is a card of competition as well. So, for instance, if the Tower card represented for you losing your job and you just never saw it coming for sure, then the Five of Wands is that you have to learn how to sell yourself and to be competitive. I don't even like to say the word competitive. And I have the moon in Virgo. I just don't like it. I don't like that feeling of being pitted against somebody else. But sometimes, even if it's temporary, it might just be for your survival. And being able to, and also the confidence. I think that Virgos a lot of times lack confidence, but not in a pathetic way, in kind of a humble way, because you're so critical, you're also self-critical. And so you are well aware of your flaws, and you're not going to just, strut around knowing that you have these flaws. You're like, well, how can I possibly, feel this way when I'm, experiencing this? So the point is to be able to assert yourself more in 2020. And also, with the Five of Wands, note when you're in relationships where there's a lot of conflict, because that could be too. That's what, when I go back to saying that thing about, I don't believe that a lot of times these so-called surprises are really that surprising. It's because you can kind of tell that something isn't quite right, that the person is that they're dealing with something that is very, full of conflict, a relationship. And so if you're always bickering, you shouldn't be surprised that the relationship will fall apart, in other words. And to spot that ahead of time so that you don't invest too much time in that. The sixth card, navigation, guidelines for the year ahead. Again, this is probably like more advice. Queen of Cups, intuitive nature, like building that up for yourself. Earth signs, like to focus on the here and now, what's in front of them, instead of like perhaps what is unseen, and kind of like on the energetic level. So for some of you, this may even be parlayed into a career in the healing arts, as well as creativity. Maybe that's another thing that I'm seeing here that I didn't say. Perhaps you lost your job, but the universe wanted you to work for yourself, to do something, and that's kind of like, because we have here as the outcome, my computer keeps going dark. This is the seventh card. Okay, these are going to go all over the place. And it is clarity, your personal theme for the year, which is the Ace of Wands. I love this for you, Virgo. This is about independence, autonomy and creativity. So this is kind of like, enthusiastic new beginnings. That's your theme for 2020. And so if you've kind of like felt that 2019 was rocky, or, just filled with a lot of combative energy for some reason, it's full steam ahead. And yeah, I love it. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this. I am doing the astrological side of this, and along with natal chart interpretations for those people I haven't worked with before, because I feel like that is a big piece of it, not just the transits that are going to occur for you, but also, what are you working with to begin with? So my website is rainandmoonastrology.com. I have an example of the reading that I'm talking about, the link to that below. I hope that you have a great year of 2020. Take care. Bye.